It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk. I got it right the second time around.
Good work.
Jeez. Powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. And today it's kind of special because along with this, we are going to be in Edwardsville, Illinois this weekend with Game 7 Baseball. One of my personal favorites, the 42 Classic, of course, the great Jackie Robinson. And, you know, you don't have to be a fan of the Dodgers to respect that, right?
For sure.
There you
Always.
go. Absolutely. And so I think this is a fun one. It's presented by Academy Sports. Game 7 Baseball is given out for all the championship. They got gift cards to give out to the coaches from Academy Sports, which I think is a cool thing personally,
awesome,
right?
That's awesome.
You get enough trophies.
Yeah, you gotta get something you can take away.
So I think that's cool. But the kids do. There's some big 42 bling rings that they're giving out. So there you go. If you're there, please stop by. We'll have the studio up, ready to go on Saturday. We'll have our Saturday at the Park trivia. We got all of our highlights that we'll be sending out, interviews. We're looking forward to it. Sunday, we got the championship spread with the 2 semifinals and the 14U championship on Sunday. So we're looking forward to a good weekend of baseball. Haven't been to Edwardsville over there at Plummer Park yet.
It's a nice little town. They just built, they're in the process of building. They have 2 high school fields done. I think they're still building 2 more, like high school sized all turf fields. It's honestly kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like the park sits in kind of a countryside area, right off the highway. It's a really nice park, all turf, beautiful. You'll have a great time. And I think the weather's supposed to be pretty good too.
Yeah, 81 on Sunday.
There you go.
I'm looking forward
to it. That beats 40 and rain. So.
And as you can see to my right, the gentleman talking is Diego Solares. From Scout Connect, and this is what we're doing. It's starting something new here on our Thursdays. We've got, he's going to be bringing into our studio Illinois high school baseball. We've been talking about this. We've done a few games. We've live streamed over at Edwardsville. We did O'Fallon last year. Didn't get over there again this year, but want to work toward this. But now we can kind of educate ourselves a bit, which is a fun thing, in my opinion. Have an education a little bit about something, right, before you talk about it.
Sure, need to. Got to be informed, right?
Yeah, looking forward to it, man.
Me too. I'm pumped. Like, I'm from Chicago. I'm not from the St. Louis Metro East area, but I moved down here 3 years ago, and I think right away the biggest takeaway for me was just how good the baseball is. Not even just in the Metro East, but also in all of Southern Illinois. You start to go east towards Carbondale, up towards Springfield, like covering that whole part of the map. Basically, it's really talented, and there's really good teams from top to bottom. So whether it's large school or small school, honestly.
Right.
So
right. And I think that's the Midwest over, I'd say, the last 10 to 20 years, Diego, has gotten better.
Totally blossomed. Totally.
Right.
Like the evolution of the facilities, I think, is the big one, right? The evolution of the clubs, the travel teams, the training, the access to the training, the technology, from the pitching side, your MPLs, your P3s, your aces, all the pitching sides that have really blown up the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I grew up in Chicago. Like, I played against some really good players. Quinn Priester, Bobby Miller, were both in the same conference that I played in high school. But now it feels like, especially over in Illinois, there's a new first-round arm every year.
Jeez. Is that the Bobby Miller pitching for the Dodgers?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
He's a year older
He was
than
a
me.
Chicago guy.
He's a year older than me.
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
2017 grad. So not fun facing him in 40-degree weather. We did get him once, though. We got him once.
I would imagine that your hands just ringing, right?
Yeah, here's 90-92, and it's cold, and not fun. I was not a hitter, so thank God. But
No, and I think that's true. There's a lot of people go back and forth. I'm not going to get into it, but pros and cons every club. But I do believe, and that's where the facilities, well, the clubs, the club. Hey, the facilities are there, and that is what I believe. I agree with you. Has set in motion this dynamic of the evolution of the talent level, the progression of the talent level. These kids are better, not because they weren't talented to begin with, but because they've been able to work at it.
Sure.
You have to have facilities in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And I especially, pitching wise.
Yeah.
I know on the Missouri side and the Illinois side, the arms are just
It's crazy. Every year there's a new first round arm.
right.
It's pretty special stuff. It's a really good era of baseball. And honestly, like kind of looking at the 27s, the 28s, the 29s, as crazy as that sounds, the 14 he was right now, I don't see it ending on either side of the river anytime soon. So Missouri and Illinois are in a really good spot.
I got to see Joe Shiroto pitch again the other day. He was at Howell. Didn't have his best outing. I mean, the guy is still tough, even if he's, they got him a little bit. But it wasn't like it was just this, people barreling baseballs everywhere. No, it's not it. But the kid can hit too.
Yeah, Joe's a special one. I think if you took Joe and you kind of put him in a bucket with all of the top arms that are juniors and seniors right now, and you looked at it stuff-wise, he probably doesn't have the best stuff. Not that his stuff isn't good, because it's low 90s with a really good slider, and he'll throw a really good changeup too. I think the separator for Joe is he just flat out competes.
Oh, yeah.
Like the demeanor, the mound presence, the I'm better than you on the mound really stands out. It's a reason why, like, and we'll talk about Edwardsville later, but he's a 2-time state champion. And the 1 year he hasn't won a state championship, they finished third. You know what I mean? And that's no coincidence. But kind of going to your point, I think the thing I've been blown away with Joe the last year, getting to be around him more at the sports barn, is the tools that he has at the plate. Like, I always thought it was college arm, really good high school hitter. And like the bat speed, the power, he can flat out run. He's a 6'6" runner that plays center field. Like, when he goes down to Alabama, I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's both. And like, let him hit until he can't at that level. And I don't know if that's the case. Like, I think he's got the tools to perform at that level and don't take the bat out of his hands. But from a competitiveness factor, he's pretty close to being one of one.
I think he's one of those guys that you don't really know exactly where he's going to fit.
It could go either way. It could go either way, and I wouldn't be shocked if he has a super successful career on the mound.
Yeah.
Or if he's hitting in the 6-hole or 2-hole at Alabama by the time he's an upperclassman and playing center field.
And we were talking about Edwardsville earlier. You said they're in North Carolina at the National High School Invitational.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I always I've had a chance to get to talk with Coach Funkhauser a few different times. Really like those conversations, and this is pretty interesting. You think about a team, just what it costs to travel a baseball team. At the college level, it's expensive. High school, you're flying all these kids down. That takes a lot logistically to get those kids there.
Yeah, so I actually live in Edwardsville, and like, I could straight up say it is a flat out baseball town.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they don't care about football or basketball.
Yeah, look at that stadium
or all the sports. Yeah, but like in Edwardsville, the thing is baseball. Like, if you go to a high school baseball game in Edwardsville, there are people that went to the high school 50 years ago that still come back to the games. They get there early. They sit in the same seats. They have their popcorn ready to go. Like, it is like a full on experience going to a game there. And the support in the community from the administration, from the boosters, from everybody really made that possible for them. Honestly, they actually had to get a waiver from the IHSA approved to allow them to miss school for X amount of days to go on this trip, because there's something Funky was telling me about it. There's something in the rules that you can't miss X amount of days of school and go on a trip unless it's spring break, and they had to get that approved by
Sure.
the IHSA for it to happen. But for them to be invited to that is a huge deal. That's the best high school tournament in the country. It's at the USA Baseball facility in Cary, North Carolina. Like, you have all the best teams in the entire United States of America there. Like, Corona High School is there.
Oh wow.
They're playing Castile right now, which is one of the better programs in the country. And to my knowledge, I could 100% be wrong on this, so feel free to fact check me if you'd like. But they are one of, if not the only, public schools in Illinois that has had the opportunity to go to this. Like, Mount Carmel up in Chicago went in 2021, I think, when Ed Howard was playing there. He was a first rounder by the Cubs. And Brother Rice, which is another public school powerhouse program in Chicago, went in 2023, I think. So for them to be able to represent the state is really impressive. And just kind of on Edwardsville more, like, for the people that aren't super familiar with it, they won state in 2019 at 4A, which is the highest class in Illinois. They won it in 22. They repeated in 23, so back-to-back state champs. And then they came in third last year. They lost to the eventual state champion, Providence Catholic, in the semifinals. So it's a run, and I think they finished second in 2017 as well. So they're on a pretty dynamic run here. Led by, for my money, the best high school coach in the state in Tim Funkhauser, who's Hall of Famer in every sense of the word. He's going to be the all-time
600 plus wins.
It's 850 plus wins.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, he's going to shatter the all-time wins record by the time he's done coaching. Does a phenomenal job year in and year out. Obviously, they're super talented, but to have that level of success in Illinois in the highest classification, where you're not just playing teams from the Metro East, obviously, to win a state title, that's by no coincidence. So they're the cream of the crop. They're the gold standard. It's very similar to what Francis Hall is in the St. Louis area. And I'm pumped that they're down there right now, or up there, I guess I should say.
6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. It's over there.
Yeah, somewhere in that direction on a map.
Yeah, we're facing east. It's that way. There you go. Well, you had Edwardsville. We're going to get familiar with this stuff. Me personally, we're going to talk a little bit about this. We're going to catch up. So if there's some of this that is a little rehashed, bear with us. We're going to get there. I promise you. You started off March 30th. You put out the large school rankings: Edwardsville, Triad, O'Fallon, Mascoutah, was at Glenwood, Mount Zion, Alton, Belleville West, Freeburg, and what is that, Rochester?
Rochester.
Now, is this just kind of the metro area, or is that the whole state?
It's the Metro East up to Springfield, no higher than Decatur, which is like an hour and a half from Edwardsville, and then all the way over to Southern Illinois.
Okay.
So Carbondale, like, basically from Decatur, like, if you look at a map, from Decatur all the way down is what this 3A and 4A rankings includes.
So why did you do that?
It's just, for me, logistically, to be able to get to cover those schools. I didn't want to do any rankings in Illinois for teams that I didn't think I would reasonably be able to see with my own eyes. I just don't think that makes any sense. So, like, the furthest up I would probably be able to go would be Decatur, which is like, I live in Edwardsville. It's about an hour and a half for me.
Right.
And then going east towards Carbondale to, like, the true Southern Illinois is about an hour 45, hour 50. So all reasonably within, like, what I call our coverage map. So that's kind of how I outlined it. Because, like, we could have ranked schools in Peoria. That's 2.5 hours away. For me to, like, reasonably consistently get out there is probably not going to happen. Right. So I kept it to an area that I would be able to actually get my eyes on these teams and try to put the most credible rankings out there. I will say these are as of March 30th. It rained a bunch last week, so, like, nobody played. So I didn't update them last week. Our next update will come on Monday, where these will definitely get shuffled around, and we can kind of talk about that a little bit. But that's kind of how I designed this whole rankings process.
That's fair. And I understand from that standpoint, because we didn't do rankings very much. And I always wanted to, just because I think it's fun. if people take the rankings that seriously, I think you have to be cool in high school because it's all subjective. You watch teams, you see teams, um, over, this pat on the Missouri side, just looking at it, you know, Howell and West just played. They split,
They split. Yep.
right? You going to move them in the rankings?
It's so tough.
Right,
It's so
exactly.
tough.
The only undefeated team I think still left is Staley. I think they won again the other day. So just virtue of they haven't lost yet.
Sure.
Maybe that to me is your only thought process, because we don't get to the Southwest that much. We don't get to just travel over to the other side of the state. So that's a thought process that I put into this. How do you do that? How do you say, well, that team is, this number, and that team over there whom you've never seen play?
Yeah.
And that's a difficult process, because then you have to rely on what we started to do. Is that's where I appreciate the coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches are very kind.
Yep. You get some intel, some information, like who's who, what's what looks like that. Like, I think for me, one of the harder things when putting this together, and really not for the large school, because I feel like I see most of these players, but more on the small school side of the rankings, is like who's what, who's going to play where, who's going to do what. It was so tough for me to do all that. So talking to the coaches, like I sent them this form to fill out, and like them filling it out and being able to say, like, this is our guy. This guy's going to hit third. This guy's going to play short. He's going to play center. We're good up the middle. We have a good catcher. We have 3 senior arms coming back. All that stuff was super beneficial.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the best you can do.
Sure.
It really is,
Yeah.
because you know it, I know it. You can't be in 20 places at once.
Yeah.
It
I wish
just
I could.
doesn't be nice,
Wish I
right?
could.
Be nice. So let's look at this. The one of them that stands out to me is, because I'm familiar with it from the youth side of the programs, is Mascoutah, the Indians. You had them at number 4 at the beginning of the season. Where do you see them right now?
They're a tough one for me because, like, if I would have updated it last week and if it wouldn't have rained, they probably would be at number 3, because their only win last week was they shut out Edwardsville 10-0 and short gamed them. But then I watched them play yesterday, and they lost 14-1 with against O'Fallon. So they're tough for me, because Mascoutah is a program that's always good. They have an identity. They play their brand of baseball. Don Eddy, who's their head coach, they love to bunt. They love to run. They love to slash. They don't really have like a star-studded lineup, and they honestly never really have. Like, they're really good on the mound. They have 2 really good arms in Austin Musso, who's going to Arizona State, who's one of the best senior arms in the area, and he's been doing it for the last 4 years on varsity at Mascoutah. He's also probably their best hitter. And then they have a sophomore arm in Darren Klein, who as a freshman last year had a 1.16 ERA and walked like 5 guys in 55 innings as a freshman on varsity. So they have two horses on the mound that they'll ride through and through. Their lineup is fairly inexperienced because they had so many seniors last year, but they play their brand of baseball. They always put pressure. They play good defense. So they're a tough one for me. The next time I update it, I would envision them sticking around 4 and 5, just because it's kind of a program that you have to give the benefit of the doubt to and the pedigree to, and they're going to win 28, 29, 30 games. They have 2 really good arms. They're going to make a deep playoff push. They were 1 win away last year from going to state. So just a powerhouse 3A program down here in Southern Illinois.
The next one on the list that stands out is Alton. I'm a little bit familiar. We're going to have Alton at the American Legion team, Doug Booten.
Yep.
And those guys are coming over to play in the Centennial games that we're doing over here at Warrenton. So, and from what I've gathered, they're pretty good all the time.
They're solid. So all these schools, all these 4A schools play in the Southwestern Conference. So it's Edwardsville, O'Fallon, Alton, Belleville East, Belleville West, and East St. Louis. And next year, if I'm not mistaken, or the year after that, Triad, who's also on here, Mascoutah, and Granite City will join the conference and kind of form like one large
Big
conference.
power conference.
So
right?
I would say that Alton is traditionally kind of middle of the pack.
Okay.
At least they have been the last couple of years. But the thing that really stands out this year is they won their regional last year.
Mm-hmm.
They made it to a sectional semifinal. They lost to Edwardsville 3-2, so one-run, tight, contested game. And they bring basically everybody back, at least the guys that played key roles, except for one senior who's now gone. I'm totally blanking on his name, so I apologize. But Austin Rathgeb, was one of their better hitters last year. But other than him, for the most part, all of them are back. They're very strong on the mound. Reed Murray is a senior going to Lewis and Clark. He's a mid-80s arm, can really pitch, super competitive, good breaking ball, good changeup. They have Logan Hickman, who's a junior, 6'3", 180, long, lanky frame, mid to upper 80s with a really good breaking ball. He's kind of been like a pop-up guy that came out of nowhere this winter and has been trending straight up since then. They have an uncommitted senior, Jackson Doris, who's mid to upper 80s on the mound too. And I think the biggest infusion for them was they actually have a freshman catcher named Anderson Kaufman.
I know. I saw that kid.
Who is one of the best young players I've seen come through here in a while. He's their catcher, but also may be their best arm as a freshman. I watched him throw against Civic Memorial a couple weeks ago. He was 84, 86, and just a ton of strikes, like both sides of the plate, commanding the fastball, spitting a breaking ball for strikes. He was up to 89 this winter, so it's in there. But he's going to be a true two-way guy. He was hitting in the two-hole for them when I saw them as a freshman. So it's kind of a little frightening to rely so much on a 15-year-old kid. But
right?
He is supremely talented.
You know, didn't you? Because I think you pointed him out because we were at an event at the Sports Barn.
Yep, last year.
Yes, and he was an 8th grader.
Yep.
You said, watch this kid.
Yeah. He's going to be – he will end up being, in 2 years, probably the best player in the area.
Right.
And he's doing it right now. Like he's getting the job done on both sides of the ball. That's a team that when conference play starts and when the playoffs start especially, when you're just relying on your top arms, like they could make some noise. And Scott Harper, their head coach, does a great job. One thing I love about Alton is the school has started to really invest in the baseball program. They just got a turf field. It's a stadium-like seating with a turf field and a brand new clubhouse. So like they're pumping money into that program. They just took a trip down to Alabama for their spring trip. Like we talked about Edwardsville, traveling for a high school team is not very financially easy to do.
Right.
And the school is supporting them for that. So that's a program to watch to come in the next couple of years. But definitely this year, once the playoffs roll around, like I could see them knocking somebody off.
Very good. Rochester down at 10. Where is Rochester?
Rochester's just outside of Springfield.
Okay.
I think it's about 15 minutes outside of Springfield. Matt Carlson.
And I know most of the people watching will probably know where Rochester is. Like, what are you, an idiot? But I'm not from, I don't know, man.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Sure. It's just outside of Springfield. Listen, I'll be honest. They're a team that when I put these out originally, like the preseason rankings, they were not on my list of teams to even kind of keep an eye on. They're off to a really good start, man. 8-2. They've had some dramatic wins. I think 2 or 3 walk-offs. They're pretty young. Like Eli Carlson, who is the head coach's son, is their shortstop and their best arm. To my knowledge, he's the only senior that really kind of plays an impact role. So it's a lot of juniors and sophomores. AJ Runkle is a big physical right-handed hitter, hits in the middle of that lineup, and is also one of their better arms. They have a left-handed hitting middle infielder that I really like, Gibson Warren. Second baseman, shortstop type, super scrappy, puts together really good at-bats. So that's a team that they play in the Central State 8, which is kind of the best conference in that central Springfield, Bloomington area of Illinois, to keep an eye on. They're 3A. They're always competitive. They kind of have a brand and identity of that they stick to. Coach Carlson does a great job. So I would keep an eye on Rochester too.
Very good. Now, yesterday you said you were at the O'Fallon Mascoutah game, and O'Fallon put it on. We were at Blazer Field last year for the Edwardsville game and really enjoyed that park. Coach, it was a pleasure. Good hospitality.
Sure.
Folks were, I like live streaming at that park because it's just a great venue for one, and somebody almost hit the what is it, the Dairy Queen,
Yeah, across the
right
street.
across the street with a
That
home run.
I actually, speaking of Rochester, funny story. Jack Swaney, who was a senior last year, is a left-handed hitter. He's at Northern Illinois. Big physical kid. One thing about Rochester is their football team is like the New England Patriots of Illinois football at their classification. Like they compete or they win a state title like basically every year. So they had this big physical left-handed hitter, Jack Swaney. Big dude, like looks like a Division I left tackle. And I saw them play Galesburg last year at Blazer Field, and he hit a ball that I swear hit the Dairy Queen. If it didn't hit the Dairy Queen, I would be shocked because it was so far gone. Like, it's one of the furthest home runs, if not the furthest home run I've ever seen. So shout out to Jack Swaney.
There you go. Love it. Good one. Let's jump over to the small schools.
Before we do that,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Before we do that, when I update the rankings, there is going to be a new number one. Edwardsville will drop to number 2 because Triad is going to jump up to number 1, and it's not because I'm not high on Edwardsville. I think they will be right up there again as one of the best teams in 4A in the state. I think what Triad is doing right now is pretty ridiculous. They, for my money, have the best offense in the southwestern area of the state, if not all of the Metro East. I'm going to pull this up because I want to make sure.
Because you had them at number 2.
They're number 2. They're 10-1 right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to pull up their runs scored this season. So they've played 11 games. Okay, here's their run totals. 15, 14, 9, 17, 12. They lost. Their only loss was to Vianney, 2-0 to JD Dorman. So a pretty good arm there. 5, which was an off day for them. 10, 10, 14, and 10. Okay, so they've scored 9 runs in 9 or more runs in 9 of their 11 games. It's a senior-heavy offense from top to bottom. They have no tough outs whatsoever. A ton of left-handed hitters, a ton of guys that can leave the yard at any point in time. And by the way, their number 1 on the mound is Drew Winslow, who's going to Oklahoma State. He's 88-92, and he hasn't really even thrown yet because Triad basketball went to a super sectional, which would be the equivalent of a quarterfinal in Missouri.
Okay.
And he's their best player for basketball. So he's kind of late to the party with his development or like getting ready for the spring. They have Sawyer Brunson, who's 85-88 on the mound with a really good breaking ball. They have a junior, Nolan Keller, who's mid-80s and throws a ton of strikes. They have a sophomore, Nathan Clucker, who last year as a freshman had like a 1.15 ERA for them as a freshman in like 40 innings and won a playoff game. They have Brody Haskin, who's their starting quarterback, who's also a sophomore that's low 80s and throws a ton of strikes. And their 6th best arm, maybe less, or like maybe further down the depth chart, is a freshman named Matt Morris, who's low 80s right now. It's super clean. He can really spin a breaking ball and will be one of the best arms in the area, like when his time comes. So this team is absolutely loaded. They're 3A, so they're not 4A. They play a class down. They're in the same conference as Mascoutah. That's a huge rivalry. It's honestly probably the best rivalry in the area, Triad Mascoutah. This, for me, is right now the best team in the Metro East.
So that's one of the games we need to live stream.
Absolutely. Triad Mascoutah, and I would just my personal preference, I prefer to watch a game at Triad over Mascoutah. Not that Mascoutah isn't an awesome venue, because it is. It's just, the wall sits a little higher and it's chain link fence. Triad is all turf infield, and it's just a lot easier to move around. But like Edwardsville O'Fallon is a big rivalry.
Yep.
But it's not a rivalry. I don't want to say it's not a passionate rivalry, but it's not a rivalry where it's like, wow, these teams don't like each other, because a lot of those kids that play on those teams play summer ball together.
Yeah.
I would classify Triad and Mascoutah as a rivalry where it's like, hey, we really don't like those guys.
It's a lot of there you go. That's a difference. It's a lot of like the GAC, what we just saw with Francis Halford, Zoma West. Those kids play together in the summer.
They're all boys.
They want to win.
Yeah.
They want to listen, make no mistake. I mean, after Zumwalt West lost that first game, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We can't.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, we can't lose again. I'm not going to lose to those guys. And that kind of is, but it's not so much.
Sure.
Like, I want to punch you in the face.
Yeah, I think if you talk to Triad and Mascuda, it's like we really don't like those guys.
Yeah.
So that's must-see TV when those two teams play. But Triad will be number one next time we update the rankings. It's not a knock on Edwardsville. I just think that what they are doing offensively and the fact that their best guy on the mound isn't fully built up yet, I would be really shocked if that team isn't making a deep run come playoff time. And they have a phenomenal coach in Jesse Bugger too. He's been doing it forever. Triad's a pro. They went to state in 2018. They're perennially in that mix of like the sectional, super sectional 3A teams. It's a program that has been very good for some time now. But to me, this is the best team they've had.
Wow, that's impressive. There was something I wanted, and I forgot what I was going to say. Isn't that terrible? Listen, folks, we've ran from one end of the country. Well,
you guys are all over the place, man.
Yeah. We've had some fun, though. It's been really good. We've seen 3 really good baseball games. We missed out on we're not going to miss out on it. It's just been postponed. We will, May 2nd, we will be at Kirkwood for the Webster Groves. Yeah.
That's a good one.
So we got that made up. And I thought it was so cool. I got to give a shout out to my dude, Dave Wiggins.
Oh, he's the man.
Dave Wiggins is one of the nice guys of baseball, knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
Knows what he's talking about. And I love having him on the show. He texted me, he says, hey, I want to scout this game. Maybe scout. Well, I want to watch the game and see what's going on and whatnot. And he has a lot of guys that play for him on that Lafayette squad and Eureka and kids that he's known. And I said, hey, we're heading over there. Call the game with me. He goes, heck yeah.
That's awesome.
Called the game with me. Great commentary. It's fun. Really enjoyed that. So big shout out to Dave Wiggins. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, I think whenever I have a question on somebody in the St. Louis area that I'm not, like a player that I'm not entirely familiar with, I would say Dave is one of the first people that gets a text from me. He does a great job. He
does. He really does. So, and we love having him on the show. So he's coaching right now. I know his team, he's working hard to continue to develop his young team, and I think they'll be right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Definitely. So we're going to move to the small ones. And the one I think the only one I really have any kind of idea of is the Father McGivney one.
Yeah, this is honestly one of the more unique situations. I don't know if you've ever been out to Father McGivney before.
My sister and her husband live right across the street from Father McGivney.
Okay, so you've seen the high school.
I've seen the high school.
How small it is.
Yes.
It's a very, like, for the listeners out here, it's a very,
because my nephew and niece go to the high school, it's the
Maryville
private
Christian.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would say, like, just to kind of paint a picture, take your average Walmart wherever you live and cut the building in half. And that's probably how big Father McGivney High School is. It's a very small, structurally, it's a very small school, which makes it even more impressive that their baseball team is unbelievably good. They're 11-2 as of this recording. Their 2 losses came on their spring trip. They take a spring trip to somewhere in Tennessee, Millington, Tennessee, I think. They've done it the last 2 years, and they play in this really competitive tournament. They actually won the tournament last year. And I think because they won it last year, they gave them like a pretty tough draw this year because they played a really good team from Mississippi, I believe, and then they played one of the best teams in Tennessee. Those are their only 2 losses of the year. They're 11-0 in state. Their lineup is just as good as basically every team we just talked about at the large school. So, like, if I didn't break these up, large school, small school, they would be number 3 on the large school rankings, probably with a case to at least be in that 2-1 conversation. It's an old, experienced lineup. Kenneth Camp is their leadoff hitter. He's going to SIUE. Left-handed hitter. For my money, puts together the best at-bats of anybody you'll find in the area. Like, he is your old school, grindy, for lack of a better term, piss you off type of hitter. Like, when there's 2 strikes, he widens up. He chokes his bat up, and he just sits there, foul, until you make a mistake. Omar Avalos hits in the 2-hole. He's a sophomore, left-handed hitter. Started for them every game last year on varsity as a freshman, can really run. They have Drew Kleinheider, who's going to St. Louis U. shortstop. He hit like 480 last year with like 50 stolen bases. Not a joke. Like he stole 50 bags.
50 bags.
5-0. Barely ever strikes out. Super polished. Can hit for power. Uses the whole field. They have a senior, Justin Terhar, that hits 4 for them. The last I checked, he had not struck out yet this year. Has juice, especially to right center field as a right-handed hitter. And like on the mound, Chase Kelly, Mason Holmes, Cannon Camp is their number 1 as well. Isaac Wendler, Evan Kuntz, Dane Keevan. Like I'm sure I'm missing somebody.
That's a pitching staff.
It is a 4A staff.
Yeah.
At the 1A level. Now this will be they've kind of teetered back and forth between 1A and 2A. Like last year they were 1A and they lost in the super sectional to Route Catholic, who's also on our top 10. They're out of Springfield. The year before that, they were 2A and they lost in the super sectional to Columbia, who had Dominic Vagley, who's now at Kansas and is one of the best pitchers in the country. Jeez. That's who beat them in the super sectional. This year they're 1A. After this year, they will be 2A.
Do they have, like, Misha with the championship points?
I think so. I don't know how it works.
Okay.
I know that their enrollment is going to push them to 2A.
Oh, okay. So it's just enrollment.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're going to bump up to 2A next year and stay there, at least to my knowledge. So this is their year to win it in 1A, kind of their parting gift to 1A.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
I'll be honest with you. I would be really surprised if they move off number 1 at any point in time this year because they are so good. It is so good.
Now, the one that stands out to me, I don't even really care how good they are, to be honest. But
I know where you're going with this.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Tutopolis.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How do you not like
it's
that name?
It's the best name maybe ever. And their mascot is the wooden shoes, which is incredible. And by the way, this is a program. This is a program that has a ton of history. Like they are always really good. Whether they're just like McGivney, they kind of bounce between 1A and 2A year over year, depending on enrollment. It's in Effingham, just outside of Effingham, which is kind of in that central Illinois pocket. Yeah, they're loaded. Like they're really good on the mound. Austin Voorhees is a junior going to Lindenwood. He's their number 1. They have another junior arm, Gavin Addis, who is mid to upper 80s with a really good breaking ball. They have an uncommitted senior, Mick Niebrugge, who is like the size of your door over there. Super physical, can do it on both sides of the ball. They have a left-handed hitter, Davin Werman, who's a junior, plays center field for them. They're just always good. And this year they have like the benefit of the doubt that they're really talented on top of being a strong, fundamentally sound baseball team. So that will be a team to watch in 2A as well in Illinois.
So, Drew, you remember the conversation yesterday.
I heard that. Yeah, I have. So you got your Hickman Cupies, okay? You have your Teutopolis wooden shoes. I want to give a shout out. I went to school in Wisconsin. There's a town in Wisconsin called Kaukauna, which is an awesome name. Their mascot is the Galloping Ghosts, which is, for my money, that's number 1. Yeah, that's number 1. The Cupies is good.
Oh man, that's just
the wooden shoes is good, but Galloping Ghosts takes it.
Okay,
Wisconsin, you got the Hortonville Polar Bears up in Wisconsin too. There's some good ones.
We're gonna have to start making a list and find these. Get the coaches on the show, even, man. Yeah, I'm going to. I want to call up these coaches and say, "Hey, we do a baseball talk. We just want to talk about your mascot name."
Yeah. How the
heck did that happen?
That would do wonders for the ratings.
I think it'd be cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You said what is that? Route Catholic?
Yeah, Route Catholic. It's in Jacksonville, which is west of Springfield.
Yep, I've been there.
Okay.
To play, because they have the fields.
Yeah, they have the fields. Yep.
And so the elementary, middle school. Justin played there.
Okay.
Way back in the day,
Sure.
because it was like turf. Like
it's crazy.
This is weird.
It's a super nice complex. Head coach Ryan Turner. They're another program that the last couple years have been very good. They were old last year. Like their starting shortstop, Nolan Turner, and their number 1 arm, Conrad Charpentier, were both seniors. So they're gone. They won like 30-something games and finished 3rd in state last year at 1A. But they bring some key pieces back. Brady Turner, who's Coach Turner's son, is a left-handed arm. He's their number one arm. Mid to upper 80s lefty that can spin it. They have an uncommitted senior, Brock Runyon, who's kind of the same thing. Mid 80s-ish, good breaking ball. He's their number 2. The Jace Lauderman, who's an outfielder, left-handed hitter, center field type. He comes back from last year after having a big year. So they're a team, honestly, that for me has a little bit of unknown to it because they graduated a lot last year, and they had some key pieces from last year's club that weren't seniors that are either not playing baseball anymore or left to go to public school. But they're off to a good start. I would expect them to keep kind of rising up these rankings as the season goes on. Them and Father McGivney on this list are the only 2 1A clubs.
Okay.
And
that's what was my next question.
They are the 2 best 1A clubs.
Okay.
And honestly, for my money, just like the base knowledge that I have in Illinois, they're probably the 2 best 1A teams in the whole state.
Now, how does that, because as we set the parameters, space-wise for these rankings, is there anybody up in Chicago in that small area, or is it all just pretty much in this area?
Most of the
that
small
could give
schools,
these 2, a run for their money.
Yeah, 1A Harvest Christian is in Chicago. It's in Elgin, probably 45 minutes outside of the city. They are really good. They were super talented last year. They lost in a super sectional. They're 1A. They have Obed Lopez and Jamison Rapinchuk, 2 really good arms, and it's a team that's always good. Mm-hmm. The one that won it last year is Ottawa Marquette. They're kind of in central Illinois, Bloomington, Peoria-ish area, kind of around there. They've won a couple state titles the last couple of years, and they are, again, really good this year. Junior Alec Novotny, shortstop, right-handed pitcher, leads that club. But if anyone's going to rival McGivney and Route Catholic in Illinois, it would be those 2.
Okay.
But right. I would say most of your small schools in general, like most of your 1A, 2A teams in the state are in central and southern Illinois.
Central and moves down.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know if DePaul College Prep is 2A. They have been the last couple of years. It's in Chicago. Mm-hmm. They might be 3A this year, but they would be another team to keep an eye on.
Okay. All right. Now, just to kind of finish this out, the 2-3, I'd say that's Class 2, correct? These 2 guys?
Yep.
St. Anthony, SHG, which is Sacred Heart. What's the
Griffin.
G? Griffin. There it is. Because at least my Drew over there, he went to Granite City for how many years, Drew? 3 years. So he has a little bit of an idea. Sure. He tells me, no, this is what school I'm at. I have no clue. So at least I got Drew to kind of point me in the right direction. But St. Anthony, where's St. Anthony?
It's in Effingham.
Oh,
so it's right by Teutopolis.
Yeah.
They won 2A state last year, and basically bring their whole team back. Brock Fearday, senior, going to Swick, leads the charge there. He's mid to upper 80s on the mound, but can also really hit. Physical left-handed hitter, 2-way guy for them. I think he was the IHS BCA, which is the Coaches Association.
Sure.
I think he was their 2A Player of the Year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Brady Hatton, first baseman, going to Kaskaskia, a big physical kid. Basically,
Kaskaskia, I love that. And it's just this little college that sits off the
yeah,
interstate.
In Centralia. Yeah. Basically was the best offensive performer at 2A state last year. He banged so many balls off the wall at a pro park. Aiden Laritzin is a junior who comes back. He hasn't really pitched a whole lot for them this year, so I kind of wonder if something's going on there because last year he was their number 2 arm. Brady Hatton actually has kind of stepped into that role on the mound this year. And they have a ton of guys. They lost their center fielder, and they lost their catcher, 2 college players. Repke was the catcher. He's at Swick. And I think the center fielder, I forgot. He might be at Southeastern Illinois College. But other than that, they basically bring the whole team back. And they're really good. In any typical year, they would be number 1. But with McGivney being how good they are, it's tough. Sacred Heart.
That's why it's one of the reasons when I started doing rankings, because like you do, most everybody does this. They do large school, small school. We don't, because we don't see everybody. And I thought that's what I did this, and eventually we'll do these things. I'll do it myself, and I do this. People can do, but talking with you, getting to know things, and doing the stuff. I personally don't like the large school, small school stuff.
Sure.
Because I think people get it to me it was always confusing. Like, well, what class are they?
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to compete to the. So who are that team? Because Class 4 in this state in Missouri,
Deep.
right?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, and so it's so fun, and those schools get overlooked in that because they get pushed to the small, and it shouldn't. Class 4 is one of the best classes in the state of Missouri, in my opinion.
Sure.
And some of those teams can compete
With 5 and 6. Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Sure.
And so I think that's just my humble opinion of things.
Sure.
And when you look at this, I get, you're trying to do the best you can to put something in place to say, hey, these are the top teams basically in the state is really what you're looking at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things, it'll be interesting because that St. Anthony, when you said Effingham, I didn't know where they were. And then it struck me because I start looking because this weekend we'll be in Edwardsville.
Yeah.
There's an Angels team that's playing in the 14U Open Division where we'll be covering with whatnot from Effingham, Illinois.
Sure.
So it'll be curious where these kids, and that's one of the things that's fun for me because I'll start asking the kids, where do you go to high school?
Yeah.
And then you get an idea of, how that progresses and you see, oh, I can see this kid here and this kid here. And then all of a sudden you get to see a 14-year-old, you go, well, man, that kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
And going to high school and what that projects to and those types of things. And I always think that to me is one of the fun reasons what we get out of the stuff we do with Game 7 baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you get to track that progress, right?
Right.
You see them when they're 14, when they're 15, when they're 16, and then when they're 17. That to me is the coolest thing about it.
Yeah.
Is you see them young, and then like guys get better, and they improve, and that their hard work pays off. And if they're lucky enough, or not lucky because they work for it, but then they commit to play college ball, like that to me is really cool. So.
Yeah, and one of the cool things too, Diego, just and it's a shameless plug.
Yeah, you have to.
But it's okay.
Keep the lights on.
I'm going to do it anyway, because this is one of the reasons why we did this, and I got to find it here. Oh, there it is. We're at 27 teams now. We have 27 teams coming to our 14U Super 7 Invitational, and of those, we got one: Brighton, Illinois, Central Illinois Swing.
Yep.
Quincy, Illinois.
Yep.
Wood River. O'Fallon, the O'Fallon Bombers.
Yep.
St. Jacob, Illinois.
It's over where kind of a triad. Troy, St. Jacob area. Those kids go to triad. Typically.
Troy Thunder Red.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're in it as a AAA squad there. So we're going to see those Illinois teams in this. I'm looking forward to that. And that's where I like to see, again, this opportunity to see all these 14U squads, 27 teams. We're going to see all these kids over a 3-day span. How did that spread out? You've got Hillsboro, Lake St. Louis, Mexico, Missouri, Weldon Spring, Farmington.
Cover the whole thing.
It is. Ashland.
Yeah. I don't know where that's at.
That's Southern Boone.
Oh, okay.
High school.
Yeah.
That's there. Perryville, all the way down, Wildwood, Troy, Columbia. So we're excited about this part of it. And being that we're doing this stuff there, the Illinois piece of that makes this very exciting to me.
Sure.
And what that comes to.
Yeah, it's awesome. Talking about Sacred Heart, because I've seen them. I haven't seen St. Anthony yet this spring. I've seen Sacred Heart twice. And I this is one of my favorite teams in the whole state. They have 2 losses. They're 10-2 on the year. They lost to Hershey, which is a 4A team from Chicago, and then they lost to Edwardsville, which is obviously Edwardsville. Other than that, they're swinging it. The middle of their lineup is fairly talented. You got Drew Ward, outfielder / pitcher, right in the middle of that lineup. Carson Butler, who's their shortstop, very good defensively. We always talk about you got to be good up the middle, right? But he can swing it too. They have a sophomore left-handed hitter, Austin Rutter, that's been swinging it pretty well for them too. And then on the mound, Drew Ward will pitch for them. He's mid-80s on the mound. But Andy Antonacci is a senior. His older brother, Sam Antonacci, went to Heartland Community College, which is in Bloomington, won a national championship there, probably has basically every hitting record you could possibly have at that school. went to Coastal Carolina last year where he had a very strong year and was a fourth or fifth round pick by the White Sox, and is tearing it up in pro ball in his early pro ball career. So Andy's a senior. He's also going to Heartland, which is one of the better junior colleges in the country.
Yeah.
I saw him throw against Williamsville in his first start of the spring, and he was 91-93 for the first 2 innings, and then basically settled in at 90-91. It's a really explosive fastball, and he spins a good breaking ball too. He also hits right in the middle of their lineup. And then they have a junior, Will Pennell, who's low to mid-80s but throws a bunch of strikes, good changeup, can spin a breaking ball too. So, for a 2A club, the interesting thing with them is they're 2A, but they play in the Central State 8, which is mostly made up of 3A and 4A schools.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be tested throughout the season. They made it to a super sectional last year and lost to Litchfield. No, they made it to a sectional championship and lost to Litchfield. So they'll be a team that could definitely make a deep run in 2A. Yeah. And right underneath them is Pleasant Plains, which is also in Springfield. I don't know if they've lost yet this year. They might be. This is bad podcasting, but I'm going to check. They're 8-0.
It's what we do, baby.
They're 8-0 on the season. They had a really good year last year. I think they won like 28 games. And the really intriguing thing about them, Pleasant Plains is a small high school. Sacred Heart Griffin is a private school. Pleasant Plains is a small public school. And basically everybody on their team plays multiple sports. Like their whole team is football, basketball, baseball guys.
Right.
But the interesting thing about them is they were really good last year, 29 plus wins or whatever it was. And they brought back legitimately their whole team. Like everybody last year was sophomores and juniors. Mm-hmm. So all of those guys are back this year. Yeah. And they have 2 freshmen, Landon Meisenbacher and Andrew Potoff, that are playing every day for them and like contributing. Like Potoff hits it in the middle of their order. He's a left-handed hitter. And Meisenbacher is their everyday shortstop as a freshman. So that's a team to keep an eye on because they're experienced. It's a program that is traditionally very good. They're super athletic. They will run. They will bunt. Their coach has been there forever, and they have a really good tradition of winning. So I'm pretty high on those two, and I'm certain because they're located near each other that at some point in the playoffs they will meet to kind of see who keeps going, and that'll be a really good game.
Speaking of really good games, we'll finish off by the rest of the week here. What would be some must-see games?
Let me pull this up. I got a sheet going.
See?
I know today, I'm going to head to Belleville East and Belleville West. Belleville West is on our large school rankings. Belleville East will be on our large school rankings next time we update it. It's a crosstown rivalry. Obviously, they're in the same town. East took game 1 of the series. It's a conference set. So this one will be today at Belleville West to kind of see if Belleville West can split the series with them. Tomorrow I'm going to head down to Harrisburg to watch Carterville and Harrisburg play each other. That's in Southern Illinois, like true Southern Illinois, down there in the Carbondale area. Mm-hmm. Harrisburg is a program that they've been a little bit on the lighter end the last couple of years, but their head coach, Jay Thompson, is kind of in that conversation with Tim Funkhauser. Mm-hmm. He's got like 850 career wins. He's been there forever. Geez. They're always good. Yeah. And Carterville is on our rankings right now. They're number 10. They will climb, probably be number 8 next time we update it. Parker Poole, senior, going to John A. Logan's throwing for them tomorrow. He's low 90s on the mound. And then on Saturday, I think I'm going to head up to Teutopolis to say what's up to the Wooden Shoes in a doubleheader. They play Salem, who is another one of those competitive 3A teams. So those are some impressive, important games to watch. Freeburg and Columbia play today. Freeburg, another good-ish mascot. They're the Midgets, the Freeburg Midgets.
Are you kidding me?
And they play Columbia, who is 2A. They're not on our rankings.
We're definitely getting a list together.
They were when we started the season. I dropped them out because they're 1-4, but I have to give credit to Coach Neil O'Donnell because if you look at their schedule, they're challenging themselves. Like they're 1-4, but it's a hard-fought 1-4. And Columbia is a team that 2 years ago in 22 and 23 made back-to-back trips to state. So that'll be a good game to watch today too.
Very good. Diego Solares, folks. Scout Connect, if you want to follow him. talk to us about your follows, bro.
You can follow me on Twitter at Deegs Baseball. It's kind of a funny Twitter handle. My friends made it for me when I was in high school. I just never changed it. Our Scout Connect Twitter handle is Scout Connect BB, as in baseball. And then the website scout-connect.org. Ton of content coming out on everything we see, high school or junior college related. So
we're gonna have Diego coming back over the next however many weeks, as long as we can. Thursdays, tune in, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Youth Baseball Midwest, talking about everything Illinois baseball, high school baseball, and hopefully we'll continue. We'll see what we get to, but we're gonna start right here. And we'll see where it takes us. And but I'm excited about this. Wanted to get over onto the Illinois side for some time, and looks like we're going to have some fun with that.
Yeah, it was good. Make sure you hit the dinger.
I like that.
That's a Brian French special.
It doesn't get you a home run.
No, but it gets you a notification.
See, he watches the show. I love that stuff. Thanks for tuning in, folks. If you like it, hit the like button too. Hit that like button. That helps the algorithm. And subscribe if you want to support us. We appreciate it. We got some more live baseball coming up next week. We've got our GAC game of the week. We'll be at Washington for the Fort Zumwalt East Lions. And then on Wednesday, we have our GAC Classic, our first one. We'll have all the North teams from Carshield Field. And then on Thursday, we'll be in Oakville for Parkway Central taking on the Oakville Tigers. A lot of big arms there. Good week of baseball.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully the weather holds off.
Yeah, me too. I hope so too. Yeah, what are you going to do? It's what it is. It's April in Missouri, unfortunately. So for Diego Solares, we appreciate you tuning in. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, you're a pitcher, right?
Or strikes.
Yeah. Hitters, you got to try and hit them where they ain't. That's the only way it works. We'll see y'all next time.